Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today, in discussions of advanced research methods, we'll be going through literature review and how we conduct it, what is its importance in our research, thesis, and everything. But before that, as I always say, that I will give you some quotes. So, here is one quote that is by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Gandhiji said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn if you were to live forever." The journey from tomorrow to forever is indeed a method of learning, a way to the truth, a way to the scholarship. And that scholarship is very much important. Arikani said, "We have things of value, but you can never find them because you don't even know how to look." So it is a way to look, how we look things. Basically, literature review is an account of what has been published on a topic by accredited scholars and researchers. Purpose is to convey to the reader what knowledge and ideas have been published, established on the topic we have chosen, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Literature review must define by the guiding a concept, the research objectives, problem, the issue under research, and arguments of the thesis. It is not a descriptive list of the material available or set of summaries, but it is something more systematic. I think says a systematic method for identifying, evaluating, and interpreting the work produced by researchers, scholars, and practitioners. He wants to say that it is a systematic thing. We have to follow a lot of areas. We have to follow the rules. We have to make notes, make analysis of the things in categories, and also the way of the followers, that how people have followed them, how the researchers have followed them, and how we have to produce. It discusses the published information in a particular way, in particular subject area, and also particular subject area in specific time period as well. It can be just a simple summary of sources. I'm saying summary of sources, not summary, but it usually has organized pattern and combines both summary and synthesis. So summary of sources and the synthesis leading to your analysis, and it might give a new interpretation of old material or combine both specifically with the old interpretations as well. We might trace intellectual progression of the field, including major debates, depending upon the situation. The literature review may evaluate the sources and advise the researchers and the readers in a pertinent, specific, or relevant way. Purpose of the literature review is to analyze critically segment of published body of knowledge, and that published body of knowledge has to be seen through summaries, classification, and comparisons of the prior research and reviews of the literatures and theoretical articles. Theoretical articles are more important because normally in social sciences would you review of the different articles, and then also we get some theories and also relate the theory to the subject for proving or disproving some subject. It is the effective elevation of the selected documents on a specific research topic, and review must be may stem from the essential part of the research process and also constitute a project in itself. In the context of research paper or the thesis, the literature review is a critical synthesis of previous research. It also includes the current research being going on in the logical manner and the logically responding to the questions as well. And those questions are the research questions, not the simple questions. Literature review places each work in the context of its contribution and also understanding. It describes the relationship of each work to the others under consideration. So that we have to relate different literatures, different subjects which we get, and we also compare them, contrast them, take their contrasting and comparison things, and also which they refute or accept the theory or some idea. It resolves the conflict among seemingly contradictory previous studies. It helps identify the areas prior to the scholarship to prevent duplicacy of work. For example, if I start study in exclusion, I don't include anything, I don't know how many Umar Hayats, how many people, how many Tayyibs, how many Akhtars, how many Nazirs, how many Adams, how many people they are working on the same subject. You don't know. So you have to take some consideration of the current areas as well, so that you don't duplicate. Because I know that human mind has a lot of capabilities and a lot of capacities to quench its thirst for the research, but sometimes it repeats as well, because this is the same world in which we live. It also points the way forward to the further research, and also some original work to make comparisons of the in the context of the existing literature. There are 6 specific or more specific qualities and properties of the good literature review. Number 1, it is focused. Number 2, it is concise. Number 3, it is logical. Number 4, it is developed. Number 5, it is integrative. And number 6, it is current. From the focus point of the view, the topic should narrow. One has to present the ideas and only report the studies that are closely related to the topic. If we are working on East Asia, we don't have to give comparisons from the different other area studies. Either in the case possible when we have to make the comparative study, or have a specific chapter or a part, or as a variable we are studying. Second quality, the second property of the good literature review is that being concise. Ideas should be presented economically. Don't take everything, every space. You need to present your idea. And the third thing is the logical. The flow within and among the paragraphs should be smooth, logical progression from one idea to the other. Not in a way that logically, normally we always give examples from the human body, that had 2 limbs in the form of hands, then body structure, and then 2 legs, feet, etc. You don't put someone's head after the operation on his hands, or you don't put his hands to someone's leg. So it's logical that you have to present in the social sciences. If I give example, you have to present the idea in the flow, not in the way that start from the 1980s, then you go in 1880s, then you go to the 1778, and then you come to the 2020. So it's difficult, and it will be destroying everything. Fourth property is that developed research literature review has the development, and you have to tell your story completely. Don't give a half-told story, because it will also destroying everything. And it should be integrative. Your parts should integrate from one to the second to the fourth, like a chain. And your paper should address and stress how all the studies reviewed contribute to your topic as well. That how you have given the review, and they give the study and give help to the study. And the last is the current. Your review should be focused to the work being done on the current edge of the society and your topic, not in a way that you are studying in the 2020s or the decade of 20s, okay, and then you start from 1880s or 70s and different. So there should be current discussion as well, because if you go back, then you have to complete a lot of things. The stepwise, we go to the steps, there are a few steps we follow. You go to the concept determination, the issue, the topic, the problem. For example, we have a topic: religious harmonies plays role vital role in the better society. This is in the context of South Asia specifically as well. When we will be conducting the internet or library research, as I discussed in the previous discussions, that these are the areas where we have to go to the library or you have to go to the internet through electronic research resources, e-bases. You data get data from the Google Scholar, other search engines, and then study them. Then you go to the pure research resources, for example, databases of JSTOR, Political Science Complete, EBSCOhost, etc. Then the third is the you conduct from the comparative studies. Then when you come from in the raw things, you have some literature review, you have some subjects, you have some books, you have some literature of the coming from the quantitative, from the qualitative. Then you have to take up on the table everything and weed out the irrelevant sources. Then organize the sources in efficiently available way. Then you have to retrieve the most important areas, information and sources. Then you have to conduct. This is the stage now coming before everything I have discussed. This is the stage. Then you have to do a critical reading, analysis, how facts are going, and then we have to go writing. I'm not leaving you the untold story. I will give you, inshallah, the complete picture how you have to do with an example as well. If you go to the stepwise approach, I have chosen the topic religion impact on foreign policy decision making, Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. These are the three specific countries. Now, the impact of religion, foreign policy decision making, then three states, which are normally called theocratic states: Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. In first step, the concept determination, as I told, you have to go to the discussion that basically you have to discuss the problem, basic problem, and basic problem is the religion, impact of the religion, and you have to make the segments. You have to segmentize this topic: religion impact on foreign policy decision making, Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. Then you have to make a segment. How? One segment, major segment, that is the role of religion in the state politics. Second major subject, role of religion in foreign policy decision making, because subject is related to the foreign policy decision making. Third is the discussion of the literature on Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, how the religion has focused on foreign policy decision making in each state. This is the concept determination that you have given the segments. Now you go to the library or internet. If in the case of the library, you select the catalogs, see the subjects wise, and each term search, and also collect the information and data. That's the one side. If you go to the internet or e-sources, e-databases, you have to start from searching the segments, because now you have three main segments and three sub-segments of the third segment. So you have to segment by search the areas, then narrow down them and search again, and then select the latest data, how you have to do, how you have to see, and then collect the data. This is the collection stage. Now I have told as weeding out the irrelevant sources. Now, keeping in view everything, you have to weed out the irrelevant areas by working on few what I can say categories. Number one is the quality. That quality, if the data has some quality or not. Number second, it is the latest and relevant. Number third, that it is the most relevant to your work. Number fourth, that cases of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Iran are discussed in that study or not. Then you have to come to the organization of the sources. As I earlier discussed, that you have to organize the sources according to the chronology and timeline. You find you go through the chronology, that is good. If you don't follow, then it will be disturbing you. And second area you have to do, second step you have to do in organization, organizing according to the segments as well, which we define, and the themes, because these themes in turn have to develop in your chapters, your segments, your portions of research, in thesis or article or etc. You have then, in next step, in the fifth step, you have to retrieve most relevant information and sources. Most relevant is the subject you have defined. Few years ago, I have a good friend. Few years ago, he gave me some good discussion on Jeffrey and Knopf, how to conduct the critical study, and it is very amazing. I'm going to share with you. Frankly speaking, if you don't admire my style, if you don't admire anything, you should admire that person that has given something to me and to contribute to the literature review as well. Number one, in the critical reading by Jeffrey and Knopf, you have to search for the main claim in that subject, or the central argument. If not given in the start, then you have to go to the few first paragraphs that highlight and follow the logical orders, and then move with the writer's comparisons, assertions, and then factual information, the way it justifies or nullifies the previous literature, and try to group the information to lead it toward the specific conclusion, etc. From now, writing style is started. Then how successfully the writer has employed the logical, ethical, and real world issues in the discussion and analogy. Same topic, I go now going further, that in the critical reading, you have to associate the information existing school of thought, the theory in translation like realism, liberalism, Marxism, constructivism, post-structuralism, feminism, modernism, postmodernism, environmentalism, etc., etc. Now, if you have a discussion, you have some brain knowledge of advanced political analysis, then you can always draw on the assertions as well. For example, agency versus structure, ideational versus material, context versus conduct, and continuity versus change, etc. You may also rightly argue about the methodology. Ask yourself time and again that you have to think in your mind, is the study which has been examined under examination, either it has also conducted some literature and also it has some target for you or not. It is influencing your topic for discussion or not, for help or etc. And then Jeffrey says, what is the quality of the argument, as well as what are the key findings and how many of the main arguments have been present in the study. Then the 3 or 4 main areas you get, and the 3 areas you have to make the 3 areas. First container, second container, and the third container. First container is the area of consensus, second container is the area of the gaps, and the third area is the area of disagreement. And you have to keep these areas with you. In each discussion, you have to see when you will work. It is much difficult to do, but it is very good in practice. When you will be starting doing this, it will be beneficial. And the final reminder that you have to make the final assessment that deception in the literature, it is some funded or some illogically funded area. Does it has biasness, logic of inclusion and exclusion, and the final review. You have to relate the question to the answers as well. That your main questions, research questions, has that study addressed or neglected some questions, how successfully the areas convergence are linked, and how successfully the divergence has been made. And then you have to see that how conclusions are made in that studies. That will give you some best thing. Now, if we organize that review in the writing stage, you will give three things. One is always introduction, second is the body, third is conclusion. You don't write headings for the introduction for each thing, but you start your introduction of the literature with the introduction to the literature review or something you want to do, that what is content, what is covered, you have to give in the writing that what is covered in your piece of paper which you are presenting, blah 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 blah. Then it is the structure, how the structure is organized. Then what are the boundaries, because for example, I am living in France, as I did PhD from there. I come to Pakistan. In that days, I also faced a lot of disturbances, because in Karachi there was disturbance, in Balochistan there was disturbance. Under my discussion, my top subject, I remember that I had to go to that areas for the field work, and I couldn't go because of the unrest in the society. So I have to define that what are the what is the thing out of the scope, that out of the scope is something is there or not, that challenges were there. And then you have the body of the literature review. Remember the segments which I told you to have to make the segments. Take the one segment one, what the most important thing it has discussed, what are the areas, and how he has arrived to the conclusion. Then second segment, then additional segments, and then this is the body of the literature review. Then you have to conclude that from each study how it has gone, highlight the most relevant areas, then the second, then the third, and you conclude that how your literature is there. In the end, I am also giving one picture. You will understand from that how literature has to be conducted. Literature review, again, the picture, the diagram shows that what are the main areas you have to touch, what are the second main areas you have to touch, and what is the there. Here I'll conclude my today's discussion with again a quote of John F. Kennedy. The goal of education is the advancement of the knowledge and dissemination of the truth. So I always want to disseminate the truth to you, and I expect that same truth without any bias should work in our literature review. Thank you very much. See you inshallah.
Dear audience, please like, comment and share our videos for spreading the truth. Subscribe our channel Creative Studio. Press the bell icon for more updates. Keep in touch with us. Thank you.